More Goryos. Look, we had a lot of Zoo last week, and now we have a lot of Goryos this week.
Okay. What is going on here?
So, JB's back.
Goryos?
Can't get rid of the guy. And he's up against
Charles Belcher.
Mono Blue Belcher.
Blue Belcher, yep.
This is Tristan. Blue Belcher. Alright, hold up the fort. I will be back in 5 to 10 minutes.
Ooh. Okay. Seems like a solid cube from both players. Jamie leads off with just Overgrown Tomb. Not a play you commonly see, so probably Tristan's radar's off the hopper, and then leads off with the blue-white flip. Psychic Frog is a follow-up. Take a bolt. Thundertrap Trainer. I believe we see a Disrupting Shoal and Modal Lands. Shoal's the pick. And then a pass of the turn. Oh, starting off with an attack. I don't know if that was a block or a no block, but Goryos is getting discarded. Or Grizzlebrand. Nope, draw. No blocks. Jamie's deck has multiple force negations. No Thoughtseize in the main, but we do have some prismatic endings. Yeah, it seems like the only main deck interaction that Jamie has in this matchup is actually just the force negations. Sideboard obviously gets a lot better, like we iterated last match. Tristan bolting himself to develop his board state. And then Jamie just responding in kind with a crack of the Marsh Flats onto a meticulous archive. Let's see if this Surveil also acts like Entomb. No Lotus Bloom on the Belcher side either, so it seems like the clock is going to be slower. Is there a Jawari Isle disruption, or are we going to use the Shoal here to counter this Tainted Indulgence? No, we're just going to let it resolve. Draw 2, discard 1. I think these are the situations where it just like exemplifies how disruptive the Psychic Frog decks are against all these combo decks that are present in Modern's metagame. Discard Solitude, yeah. Like, Tristan's just been on the back foot this entire game, taking damage from his own mana base and taking the hits from Psychic Frog. I think on Jamie's side, You should be insanely aggressive in just discarding cards from your hand at this point. I don't think it's close. I think what you want to do is actually just quicken his clock as much as you can. You know there's a Disrupting Troll on your opponent's side of the board. If I was Tristan, I would just throw this Thundertrap Trainer in front, but it seems like both players decline. And then we're just taking 2 damage, and then we're just drawing another simple card. But I think the cards in hand on Jamie's side, there's no way they are all fully effective against what he is doing. This end of turn Whir of Invention is going to actually heavily disrupt whatever Jamie was attempting to plan on doing. I think too many people are scared to make a larger clock with Psychic Frog, and we may be dramatically punished in doing so right now. If we have a multiple Disrupting Troll situation with a land and a Belcher, like the game's just straight over now. And the lack of interaction on this side.
Is the game over yet?
Very close. We have an end of turn Whir of Invention right now. Yeah, so now we're bolting again. So like if this Belcher ends up resolving through these two Disrupting Trolls, there's no recourse for Jamie here. All right, so we're fetching first to respond to the Belcher on the stack. That is a retro schematic from Brothers.
Retro schematic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I have the Belcher, yeah. Yeah, that is old school Belcher. Retro Belcher. New school, old school.
Mm-hmm.
Whose school? My school.
Is this a Goryos on Grizzlebrand to find force? Yeah, you Disrupting Troll this.
Oh, 100%.
Never mind, we don't.
Nope,
Okay.
what's it happen? As he's going to bank on Disrupting Trolling.
Well, see, I believe.
Well, I mean, I guess, does he have an
tri-
8-drop?
No, you just hit the Goryos.
Oh, the Goryos, right.
And I
sorry.
do.
Two mana.
If I recall correctly, there was 2 Disrupting Trolls in Tristan's hand.
Okay.
Jamie did not know that, but
Yeah.
yeah. You could pitch Disrupting Troll to Disrupting Troll.
You sure can.
Yeah.
That is a legal play,
Yeah. Yeah, we are hitting with a force. Now we're going to Flare Denial.
Flare also does it?
Well, yeah, we're drawing 7.
What if I drew 7 again for another one? I mean, look, like if Jamie finds another force and then turns it into counters it again, I'd be so ticked, dude. I would be choked.
Yeah, I think the correct line is just like you can't allow your opponent to look at 14 cards.
No.
Yeah.
Like just flare the Goryos.
Yeah, but we did know that there was also a Disrupting Troll there.
Yeah.
But the way he was playing, like never blocking with the Thundertrap Trainer, like it was obvious that there was a. Yeah. He's allowing him to see his library, so essentially this is a concession. But
Yeah, they're doing a little bit of a shortcut here.
yeah.
Where it's like, I'll let you resolve Belcher, let me look at your library.
Yeah. We're dead. Okay, next game.
That's it.
Quick as pie. All right. Yeah.
Once I figured, I was like, well, I have to grab food. I'm sure this match will be over soon, given the 2 decks running into each other here.
Yeah.
Like especially game 1.
Yeah.
Right? Game 2 is where it gets interesting, I think.
Yes. All bad cards out, all good cards in. So that's Blue Belcher's like essential like metagame resilience, where it's like it's just very highly favored to win game 1.
Yeah, you just cheese out game 1.
I don't think there's a more highly favored to win game 1 deck than Belcher. I think it's even slightly higher than like Amulet, for example. I think the axis in which it operates is just that much more resilient.
100%.
It's not as fast, but it's that much more resilient.
No. The fact that it gets to play so many free counterspells in the main deck, and just like,
Yeah.
when you get that critical turn, you just like bark your hand out because you're going to win anyway.
Yeah. So I think this is once again one of those weird situations where both players are just going to cite and consign to memories. But Jamie's side also has Mystical Disputes and Thought Seizes. And I think those are just premier cards for this
Oh,
matchup.
you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. Now the question is, because this is a thing that I've struggled with a couple times running up against Belcher, how valuable is Surgical? Is it a trap?
Against Belcher?
Yes. Because if you get a Belcher in the yard and you Surgical it, like, they can't win. Or, I mean, they can, but it's really hard.
It's more of a Tameshi line at that point.
But it's also like, how do you get that to line up, right? Because a lot of the turns where they're like how do you get Belcher in the graveyard in the first place? You have to Thaw Seize it, or you have to counter it when they go for the win. And if they're going for the win, you'd rather have a counterspell than a Search in your hand at that point.
There is a Tezzeret the Seeker in the sideboard as well, so I think that's like also like your partial ability to have a type of secondary win condition, but I think it's more on the trap side. If I had 6 discard spells, I'd be more inclined.
Because the odds of you actually getting a Belcher into the graveyard are higher.
Let's just put it this way: Surgicals, I think, actually only really belongs in middle.
Yeah.
Even though some of the cards are specific, they fight too fairly for you to be able to like try and Surgical to cheese them.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, do I bring in Surgical against Dredge? The answer is yes, but like, was it better than any other option in your metagame choice?
Yeah.
I'm actually questioning as to like the amount of copies we've seen Surgical today already has been exceedingly high.
Seems like most sideboards feel like they start with 2 Surgical and they go from there.
I'm not actually familiar with why that logic would currently be. Maybe there's a deck in the metagame that feels that way, but I just don't see it. Truthfully.
Yeah, I think the
when your top 2 decks is almost 35% of the metagame and it's red aggressive decks, I don't understand why Surgical's there.
This is true.
Like that's just my perspective on the entire situation. I just don't see that. But
yeah, it's a weird. It's a weird way how it lines
especially
up.
when you have Force of Negation, that also exiles like any key spells or components, and like you can't even Surgical follow up from that. That's
the awkward part, right? Is that like, if I'm playing like a white deck and I play like Solitude, it's like how often am I actually Surgicaling my opponent's creature when my
you have Prismatic, and you have Solitude, you have Force of Negation. I just don't understand. You have Emperor of Bones. Like,
how do they end up in a spot where you get to Surgical?
I don't particularly see it, but I could easily see from the Belcher side of things bringing in a card like Spell Pierce and Stern Scolding just to deal with these like type of aggressive situations that this deck can obviously provide. And I would bring in Harbinger of Season, Consign to Memories. And Tezzeret the Seeker. I would just like make the deck more resilient. Jamie's gonna try and slow you down. Play with that level of speed, increase your level of resilience, and then just keep proceeding with your game plan. It's like in a situation like this, it's like this is how you lose, and this is why I would play a card like Stern Scolding.
Yeah.
It's like he resolved the frog. Well, okay. Like, what are you doing now?
Yeah.
Like, this game is going to look exactly like the last, where both players are just way too conservative, and it's just going to favor the Selective Frog player.
Yeah.
It just won't even be close. But.
Yeah. But both sides are playing it pretty slow here. No turn 1 for either.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a snapback. Okay.
Snapback.
Yeah.
That just bounces forward to the hand, right?
Yes.
He just has to play it again.
Exiling a Tameshi to do so. So at least Tristan this time is like actually trying to decide to like gain some type of tempo. Replay it, Stern Scolding. Sure. Okay. No Stern Scolding.
No, just replay. Yeah, that's
just replay it.
That was the odd part. Is that like how much do you value the card more than you value doing that on like Jamie's end step, so that he then has to take next turn off to replay Frog, right? So then you kind of buy 2 turns.
Yeah.
This only really bought you 1 turn of no Frog in play, right?
Yeah, it bought you a card and no turn versus
a card and 2 no turns.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
Pitch Ephemera. Yeah, that doesn't do shit. Yeah, Jamie, speed this game up.
This is also a situation where it's like I just don't see how surgical is like actually that viable. Yeah. Here's a frog. Oh no, Emperor Bones.
Emperor Bones, okay.
Well, this is a very late
now
spell
we have
snare.
spell snare. Yeah, I kind of wish I had
Well,
that
it
card.
seems like there's another spell snare in his hand, so I'm actually unsure as to like why we didn't counter the Psychic Frog.
Yeah, why
because,
is frog still in play?
Yeah.
Like, I get that Tristan's just trying to like buy time.
Yeah, but no board state is a lot of time.
But
Yeah. You can't pick Thunder Trap Trainer here, but I think you can pick the other two. So that's Disrupting Shoal and
the Seagate Restoration.
Yeah. So we may be lightning bolting ourselves for this mana here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another spell snare. So
The frog being in play is awkward to me. Yeah.
Yeah. How did we line up where frog got in play and then what? You drew 2 spell snares after you already snapped it back? Is that what happened? Like,
I don't see how that was
just unlucky?
possible. Yeah. Because he pitched a card to play the spell snare. Otherwise, he just would have like shocked himself or lightning bolted himself and then hard cast the snapback and been fine with it. But yeah. Lotus Bloom on 2, so we're in the territory of just hard casting this combo here. And with only 1 blue source on Jamie's side, the hard cast force negation is not aligned.
no.
Like we really need like 2 more blue sources. Like that's what we really need in this situation. If we're on Jamie's side here, we need 2 more
'cause
blue
this is the hard
sources.
part when you're the blue deck going up against Belcher and your interaction is on the stack.
Yeah.
They have so many free options
Yeah.
that it's almost impossible to like fight them on the counter war.
Yeah,
They just
Yeah, drawing an extra card is a very good option though, but it only if provided that we actually use the mana effectively. But so we kept prismatic endings.
okay, interesting. I don't hate it. Right, because Prismatic Ending is kind of like a proactive counter to Flare Denial.
Yes, it actually
And
stops
it's-
the whole Flare Denial conundrum. Yeah,
And it does sometimes interact with Lotus Bloom if they
Yeah.
have like a bit of a slower hand.
Yeah.
And they're like trying to draw into Belcher, and then the bloom comes off and it's vulnerable,
Yeah.
and you just like snipe on your turn. Not bad,
Yeah.
but it can also just be a dead card. So it's like it's a little risky to keep them in. But I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I would have personally just removed the Ketramos and Emperor of Bones and my own Falahis just because they're not clocking, right? Like they're just not clocking the way you need things to
But
clock.
here's the post sideboard nightmare.
Mystical Dispute.
Where Tameshi can just like run away with the game.
Yeah.
But, Dispute doing its job.
We've drawn a lot of extra cards, but we have not seen any land drops from Jamie's side. There we go.
Yeah.
We still have a Watery Grave in the list and an Undercity Sewers just in case it hits the end step. Meticulous Archive as well, but I'd be more inclined to hit Undercity Sewers just in case you find some of the black disruption. You can free up the swamp to be your blue source. I think this dead spell snare and this active psychic frog are just very mismatched. I think this game has completely run away. But all right, here we are.
And again, Jamie just playing like
Yeah.
Esper Delver
Yeah,
over here.
this may be a consign. Yeah, consign
Not
will replicate.
once.
Yeah. The CMC is not 2 on that.
Basically,
Yeah.
can't be countered.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Jamie's like, look, if you want to pitch a bunch of cards to like counter both my consigns, that's a trade I'll take.
It should be an exile, yeah. The Lotus Moon will be an exile because they'll counter the trigger where you have the option to cast it, not the last suspension counter. That also makes another trigger, so you would counter that one twice, and then
And you could have also countered just the bloom itself, but it is better to leave it in. And here it is, the Belcher surprise gotcha plan.
Yeah.
This has gotten me a couple times where you're like, I've got my combo in my hand, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And they just play fucking Harbinger and tell your lands off.
Well, if he finds planes here, it actually won't be that detrimental in this situation. But
the nice thing here is
what
that,
will happen is that essentially it may be a small counter war, but not enough of one.
Yeah, and what's nice for Jamie now is that he now has an extra blue source.
Yeah.
So he found a second blue source, Hardcast Force online.
Yeah.
Which is always the funny part about playing Harbinger against the blue decks, because sometimes it does just help them.
Yeah. Says resolves, gives him the pointy figure and says, yeah, that's fine with me. All right, here we are.
You have a fish, I have a frog.
Yeah, let's see how fast you block this. Because it's a swing and a chump. You cannot allow this Psychic Frog to just simply discard 3 cards. Looks like it's a concession.
You've seen the writing on the wall. I think it's
Yeah.
just like fly frog and then just pitch your hand.
Yeah.
So
Once again, Psychic Frog is just taken down. And
1-1 now, I guess, eh?
yeah.
But yeah, again, like, where's the Goryos? Where is it? I mean, did Jamie just register the wrong name? Did he?
Yeah. I haven't seen it.
I've seen the attraction in the bin.
Maybe a friend lent him this deck and he kind of thumbed through it and he's like, okay, I get it. And then he opens his hands and he's like,
I don't get it.
wow, what are these dead cards I'm gonna mulligan?
Yeah.
Oh, there's turn 2 frog. Nice.
Yeah.
I just like rides that to victory every game.
Yeah. Game 3, Tristan on the play dramatically changes the tempo for Jamie on Goryos. Like, I don't think you keep anything if it's not a turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Frog at this point. Like your disruption is very slow. Mm-hmm. It's very reactive, and you could potentially draw the Frog or the Thoughtseize too late, and it wouldn't even
when
be
he's on the
effective.
draw, he's kind of forced into being proactive immediately.
Yeah. Like if there's not those 2 opener in the cards, like I'd be willing to go down to 5. There's a critical point in these matches, and like being able to resolve Psychic Frogs.
Right, because like the texture of the blue Belcher deck is that you can't just sit back and not present a clock and hope to just disrupt the combo. They're gonna kill you if that happens. Tristan keeps a no-lander.
Oh, no.
Okay, no, he didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I was
Yeah,
like,
just
whoa!
flipping his card. Yeah.
I was like, dude, does dispense Lotus Blue pass?
Yeah,
That's
just flipping the card.
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, Tristan
No.
did not give a
Yeah,
no-lander.
so then,
He kept
yeah.
the land. But turn with Lotus Bloom, definitely where you want to be with the with modern playable Black Lotus.
Yeah. Yeah, Tristan feels like complete guards down here.
Yeah.
Any Spell Snare or Stern Scolding will just stop any potential threat now, and it's just now you have another 4 to 5 infinite.
Yeah, and
turns.
this is how impactful the play of the draw is in this matchup,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Where like, Tristan has the opportunity to just be like, sit back and I get to play reactive until like combo kill you.
This is the angle that like I always found playing between both like Dimir Murktide and Isn't Murktide. Like this is actually the inflection point I did not like at all. Well, the Meticulous Archive was also an Entomb, but
Nice.
I actually don't know if this is actually enough. I don't think this is enough. Like that was probably the best
Right,
surveil you
like-
can ask for. That's
like
actually
turn-
the best surveil you can ask for.
Yeah, like-
it's better than Atraxa.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if it's actually going to be impactful enough, just
Yeah,
based
like
on the fact that you don't have enough mana.
It surprises me that turn 2, hit you for 7, draw like 21 cards.
Yeah.
Isn't game winning,
No.
right? It's at most fine.
Yeah.
You get like an almost perfect 7 for your next turn.
Yeah.
But like you're back to an empty board. This frog.
If this gets snared, I think the game's over. Well, it did not. Okay.
Frog
so,
again, just hanging out.
yeah.
doesn't have any like removal. Snapback is it, huh?
Snapback, but there's multiple
Unable
spell
to scream, I
snares, and
guess?
then there's stern scoldings. It's like
Right,
There's
remember,
one unable to scream.
Yeah,
but
like on board. How does he deal with frog now? Right, it's gotta be snapback or scream.
yeah,
He's
like
got
the
nothing
tempo,
else.
the tempo hasn't changed yet because the frog hasn't had an impact
Sink into the
yet.
super, maybe, yeah.
But an opposing sink and a disrupting shoal. I would pick disrupting shoal here in the blind anyway. But
Sink is also appealing because it does also deal with frog.
the game is now at this point where it's like I'm assuming that the frog will draw an extra card and you just need another piece of disruption.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything different.
Yeah, just try to win the game next turn.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Hope Jamie isn't sitting on like consign force mystical dispute.
Well, here you block.
Combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. You don't have flare, just block.
Yeah. You want to deny your opponent the most amount of resources possible.
Yeah. This is we combo next turn.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because if you're comboing next turn, you have to win the attrition of I have more.
And once again, I think
counters
this is
than
one
you.
of those way too passive plays with Psychic Frog. It's like just discard cards and fly.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's the weight? Like you are trying to speed the
Discard
situation
any of
up.
your non-counter spells.
Seven
and-
cards in your hand isn't speeding the situation up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's like, oh, okay, sweet, we killed the Falahi. It's like, well, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like if your opponent blocked, they had a flare anyway. They didn't have a flare, so it just doesn't matter.
No.
Like, yeah.
You don't discard tracks though.
Yeah. Then pass. Discards Godless Shrine, but it doesn't matter, right? So like if we can all admit that these mechanics don't matter, it's like okay, we're trying to do the same thing on the Lotus.
Counter Bloom again.
But the thing is, we have Disrupting Shoal. We could just spell pierce this even. We could just spell pierce this. Pierce this, move on.
Well, he's got it replicated.
Oh,
once.
does he have replicate? Okay.
Yeah.
So he cast it for one replicate then. Okay. Then yeah, it's gone. That's
There's
fine.
two. It is what it is.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is that the Psychic Frog was resolved. Yeah. Yeah. And we'll draw. Well, that's a whir. So here you play flip land, cast the whir right now, get the Lotus Bloom into play, and then you have a spell pierce for a force negation. That's a go. So there's
Wow.
not another land?
He can still whir. We're on Jamie's
Well, he
next
can
step.
whir, but he doesn't have spell pierce protection.
Are we Goryosing right now? No, Emperor Bones. That seems bad, honestly. I would.
This is
sooner-
shields down, but
I would sooner discard this to Frog, I think, than play it.
I think the turn to discard it to Frog was turns ago.
Yeah.
Then the damage would have been neutral and your mana would have been open.
Yeah.
But at least he discarded. He exiled the Grizzlebrand, and then potentially next turn, what he'll do is essentially just trigger it twice to try and draw into more disruption.
Yeah,
but-
and then discard your hand to Frog.
yeah.
So I guess he is putting check into play a
Yeah.
little bit. He's like, next turn you're dead. So you have to win now. But here
So
comes
this
the
is
word.
end of turn whir. Yeah. Well, the opponent doesn't have any 1-mana counter spells except for the Mystical Dispute.
Yeah, Consign doesn't do it.
No.
So yeah, we go get good old Lotus Bloom directly into play.
Tameshi.
Meshi, okay.
If you're trying to bait out a Mystical Dispute, you would have done that already on the end step, so I don't really agree with this.
Yeah. Right, because this can also generate enough mana to Belcher. You just like recat or you
through multiple
yeah,
through
you
multiple
get to-
self
You get to replay Lotus Bloom over and over again. Pick it up. This draw a card.
Yeah.
Jamie is told him he's F6. He's like, yeah, do whatever you want.
So generating the mana.
So that's 12 mana, I
Having
believe.
all cards in hand.
There's Belcher. 8 mana remaining. Here's Force.
This is Spell Pierce territory now.
Yeah, you just, I mean, you have 8 mana. Just pierce it.
Yeah.
Oh, Shoal.
Yeah, game.
Extend hand. Shoal is good enough on the Hydroelectric Specimen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think game 1 was an example where it's just like you're not proactively pushing frog damage fast enough. Like you had a frog, it drew 5 cards. Why isn't your opponent dead?
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those situations where like people are just always too passive about having cards in hand against these decks. You only need enough to pitch to force.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have 3 cards in hand with 3 mana open and a force and pitch force, and have 4 extra counters on my frog.
Yeah,
And,
I can see why Jamie wanted to play Emperor and do the line that he did, but like, I think it was worth more.
That was a game 3 situation.
Yeah.
I think in general, like it's a more of a learning curve about how Psychic Frog really is effective as a Magic card. It's like it is a clock. Like my land does not kill my opponent. I do not need a 4th land.
Yes.
I am discarding land. And you need to take that concept to every active spell.
Yeah, like
you don't need Solitude, you don't need Ephemerate, you don't need Atraxa. None of these matter. What you need to do is effectively push the clock so there's less cards that your opponent sees access to. It's
it's a
about
hard
speed.
concept to wrap your head around, because at face value, it looks bad for
It's like,
players
I
to be
have
like
7
a card for 1 counter. Like, how good could that really be?
Yeah.
But like, it's the sum of its
turning
parts.
the clock. Yes, it's the turning of the clock. Yeah.
That really pushes how strong it is. It's like it's not 1 card with 1 counter. It's that these 4 cards are with 4 counters.
Yes.
And in hand, they're worth nothing.
Well, over the 3 turns, the 1 card was a lightning bolt.
Yes.
Right. It's just one of those situations. Yeah.